Hello to all of you sovereign warriors out there. Welcome to Dr. B's channel and the final episode of our Slavery to Sovereignty series. I'm Diane Kazer. I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, functional medicine expert, as well as a courage coach and author of Killer Breasts. This is something that Dr. B and I have spoken about in several of our episodes together. It has been an absolute honor and privilege and joy for me to have been with all of you in this 13-part series, from interviewing Anna, the creator of the American National Movement, as well as having a lot of my friends that are here in Sedona and the Arizona area that are fighting for our freedom, as well as Michelle Ford. This is such an amazing panel of humans that are standing up for freedom and preserving our medical rights and rights of all kind for our future. Our children depend on it. What you do with these episodes now will dictate the rest of our world and the future that our children live in. And so please do not let these episodes go to vain. Please do not just become a more educated human from listening to us. Please take action. Take action in your community. Take action in your children's school. Take action in your workplace. Take action with politics and write to your leaders what you really want. I know that sometimes that can feel as though it's an uphill battle. And that's why we're trying to rewrite the whole story of what Earth means to all of us. So please take this episode, as you have every single one. And if you have not watched all of them, go back and listen to them and consider joining us in the movement of becoming an American national, so that you too can have the freedoms preserved in your name and on you, on the soil and the land, as a true sovereign being, and not having to be forced and coerced by all of these ridiculous government mandates, things that they are claiming to be law, but they aren't. Are we not done yet with how much they are forcing down our throats? This is how we stand up. This is how we unite. This is how we come together. So in this final episode, please hear us from our hearts as how much America beats through the veins of every single one of us, and why it's so important for us, for you to join us. It's been amazing hearing from so many of you who've reached out to us personally and letting us know what has been inspired in your heart, what has fired you up to support you and your family. This is not something to take lightly. We must do this ASAP. It's been over 160 years in the making to get to the point where we are now. And the way that we get through this is to just say no and exit their medical mafia matrix. Let's get into the episode and make sure that you stay tuned until the very end with a couple other announcements.
It would be so cool to see what the new society is going to look like. Not the Build Back Better bullshit. Good. Ready. Welcome back. Episode 13. Okay, now, if you're wondering where the first 12 episodes are, some of them are approved by the Ministry of Truth. Some of them are not approved by the Ministry of Truth. So they'll be on Odyssey. They'll be on the Dr. B VIP. I think they're on BitChute, which is still somewhat free. But today is, you're going to get the promo for this if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. But you've got to go to one of the less censored sites. I'm joined with Dennis Knill, Justice of the State and Sheriff of Yavapai County, and Arizona State Chairman and Recorder and Coordinator for the Arizona State Assembly. Diane Kazer, pro soccer player turned functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, courage coach, health and beauty expert, author of Killer Breast, and Michelle Ford, mother of four, founder and president of the Vaccine Injury Awareness League, activist, advocate, in teaching common law. I mean, stuff we need now. And Howard Lichtman, founder of the Thick Red Line Project, which happened to be one of the ones that was deleted by the Ministry of Truth, president of the Human Productivity Lab, and he also goes by the nom de plume, Etienne de la Botienne Squared, and founder of the Art of Liberty Foundation. Welcome all. Okay, now, since we've got nothing but brilliant minds here, thought we'd ask the same question. And you got about 2 to 3 minutes to answer each. But it's just, I mean, we can see society is going to hell in a handbasket. Okay. And the only way to get our freedoms back is not to petition. We have to take them back. So, Howard, if we could start with you, can you describe what it looks like in practical terms, what a free man, free woman like, and what does a free society look like?
So, a free society looks like voluntarism, where all relationships between people are voluntary. Nobody gets the ring of power. Nobody gets to use violence or extortion on anybody else. The government doesn't get an exemption from morality. So you can't have government. You can have governance. You can get together in groups and mutual aid societies and nonprofits and real charities, and you can do all kinds of things, but nobody gets the kind of ring of power to be able to say, this small group gets to make up rules for everybody and steal the wealth of others, and we'll decide how your charity dollar gets spent, and we'll decide if we go to wars, and that doesn't fly anymore. And so then everything has to be negotiated. And when everything has to be negotiated, then you've got a market. And so there'd still be police, but instead of it being the monopoly police, it would be ADT or West Tech, and they'd only have the same rights that you do. And because you can delegate the right to protect your life, liberty, and property, you have that right yourself. You can delegate it to a representative to exercise that right on your behalf. But you don't have the right to inflict victimless crimes on people. You don't have the right to arrest people for gambling or for, smoking the wrong plant. And so, the security only has the same rights that you have. And if they're rude to you, well, you can fire them, or ineffectual, or, somebody's offering you a better deal. Then there's now a market, and you may get armed protective services from the guy across the street if this guy doesn't treat you right. And so the market allows you to vote every single day in a really effective way, only exchanging value with those people that give you value, and improving society as a whole, because you're eliminating the middleman. And so I think you'd see real charities flourish, the ones that are close, to the problem in individual cities and states, et cetera. And, I think that dynamic is ultimately good for the country.
Buddy, I got to show you this. Lysander Spooner. That is on my wall.
Nice.
What a crime is, what's not a crime. If society is harmed, it's not a crime. If an individual is harmed, it is. Okay. Brilliant. Dennis, can you describe what a free man and free woman look like, and what does a free society look like?
That's a good question, since none of us have ever seen it. Okay, because it's been going on for 160 years, all under the thumb of big government and brother who and brother that. You can't do this, you can't do that. It would be totally amazing, because everybody could walk around free without having to report to somebody. I mean, yeah, well, everybody will still have a job, but you won't. There's no mask mandates. There's no laws. There's, you can't go that fast. You can't do this. There's no more of that, because everything will be freedom. No taxes. You buy what you want when you want. You go to work with who you want. We'll have so much entrepreneurship. It would be unbelievable, because if people are free, they would go out and do the things that they really want to do, without being pushed down constantly by higher ups wherever. It would be just a totally amazing world to live in. And it would be worldwide, because when it starts in one place, everybody's going to say, we like that. That's the route we're going. And it would just totally be awesome.
God bless you, man. Okay. Michelle, what would the life of a free man and woman look like, and what would a free society look like?
Okay, so I have to agree with Dennis that that's actually a really difficult question to ask because we've never seen it. That was literally what went through my head. We've never seen it. So we get to invent from nothing. And what does it look like to invent from nothing? Well, it looks like exactly what we're doing with the assembly. We're teaching people that they only surrender their rights by citizenship and by acquiescence to a presumption or an assumption or a tacit agreement or somebody's hearsay. And really what it looks like is no longer being afraid when you're doing nothing wrong and there's a police officer driving behind you. Right?
Yeah.
You could be doing nothing wrong, Dr. B, but I'll tell you what, when you're driving down the street and a police officer is behind you, you might go through the checklist in your mind. Is my seatbelt on? Wait a minute. Do I have my license with me? Am I speeding? Did I go through a stop sign? Well, guess what? You don't have that anymore when you're a free woman on the land. So that's what it looks like. It's that fear that it sort of runs the show, but you don't really realize it because it's so pervasive and it's just so part of how we were raised up to be. And when you're not living life under this constant threat of stress, let me tell you, that's true freedom. Lack of fear or absence of fear. What ends up happening is that there's what's present is power, is freedom, is the ability to have full self-expression. That's what's available.
God, I love you folks.
Love you too, Dr. P.
Diane, what would the life of a free man, a free woman look like? And what does a free society look like?
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. That really got me, is that it's hard to imagine something that you've never really experienced. And so I think, and like what Michelle said, we're creating something out of nothing. And that takes imagination, it takes courage, it takes resourcefulness, it takes uniting. It takes getting out of the box that we have literally been imprisoned to, many bars of which we have been tethered to our entire life. And it's all that our ancestors have known, like Dennis said, for 160 years. So I like to start by what it isn't. And one of the things, and you hear me say I'm a courage coach, but I've never really defined it. But to me, what courage is having the courage to stand up for what we believe in. And it actually is an acronym. It stands for curiosity, optimism, unity, resiliency, authenticity, gratitude, and empathy. Many of these things we do not have in our leadership right now, whether it be in politics or corporations or schools. And what we're now seeing is that we have a huge strand of narcissism that are leaders all around the world. And that's what these 10 prison bars are. I've talked about the 10 prison bars, but I'll remind you guys, it's the hardest prison to escape is our own mind, which we have been instructed to pedestalize everyone but our inner powers, our own courage, and our connection to our creator, which is God. So I believe that we need to go back to common law, like we've talked about before, what that truly is in the 10 commandments. And that's really bringing it back to basics, but understanding what we're imprisoned to is first very important to understand so that we can cut that chain to those tethers. Those would be our parents, our peers, physicians, our love partner, our position at our job, pop culture, the press, politics, preachers, and the pedagogy, which is our school system. So if we can't see that we are enslaved and entrapped by pedestalizing any of those 10 things, we can't get out. We first must acknowledge that it's okay. We've been hypnotized into systems that are not serving us, that are definitely not free, or at least it's the illusion of freedom. So being okay to say, hey, you know what? I pedestalized my parents to think that they knew better than me when I was 5 years old. I pedestalized my teachers. I pedestalized doctors. Every single time we feel a symptom, you and me both know, Dr. B, they go straight to a doctor. Help me, fix me, make sure that you put me in a box with a condition, and then therefore they can give us a pill. Anytime we run to anybody else to fix our problems, we are in a prison and we are not free. So going back to those 10 commandments, you know, the very simple parts of life that we haven't seen for a long time: honor thy father and thy mother, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet. These are things that are very basic. And if we go back to them, we can start to honor our own freedom. And I think about freedom. I think about tribes. I think about when we didn't even wear tops and there wasn't a condition on how they needed to look, and we breastfed in public. That might sound gross to you, but that's also a prison. So that's what I think of when I think of being free, and we barter and we trade and we lift each other up, and we say to each other, if someone wants to imprison you, you're not the boss of me.
I gotta say, so I see maybe 150 to 200 people a day. Okay. And the questions asked me, why are you doing this? Why are you going for this sovereignty movement, this national movement? And I say, well, imagine if you have rights that could not be separated from you, that were endowed, given to you by your creator. Okay. And you had right of bodily autonomy, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and everybody had to be respected along those lines. And then you had to adhere to the 10 big ones. Don't kill, don't steal, and so that's it. I mean, basic stuff. Oh God. Okay. Question 2. Okay. Imagine this. Okay. Now, Howard, which ones, in your opinion, what's the biggest block for people to move forward on this? So what are the solutions? Tell me the blocks of moving forward to this new freedom society where everyone has autonomy. Okay. And what are the main points and solutions to those blocks?
In my book, Government, the Biggest Scam in History Exposed, I get a lot of feedback that I do a good job of exposing how intergenerational organized crime runs the government and the media. But what are you going to do? We got to have government. Who would build the roads? And it's shocking to me that most people have never really considered how things could be done in absence of a monopoly government. And so I think that one of the biggest roadblocks is really an education effort to helping people understand how the market delivers the goods, how you can have everything from armed protective services, dispute resolution, air traffic control, the roads. In the case of the roads, we'll have if a property developer wants to build a housing development, he would build the roads through that, and the HOA would probably accept the long-term maintenance of the roads, and you'd pay a little bit each, month out of your, homeowner association assessment. And the homeowners association would watch the building of the road with like a hawk eye because it's their money on the line. And so you'd get a better road because it's being, built close to home kind of a thing. And so there'd still be roads, but if a business wanted to build a factory or a retail store, they'd have to build the road to it. And so you'd see it grow organically. And some people would be in the business of long-term roads, and that exists today. I know I have a friend of mine who's a venture capitalist, and they specialize in bridges, and they build private bridges. And they try and figure out, is there a demand across this river for a bridge? And if there is, then the market will finance and buy the bridge without, that exists today. That's not something that's, futuristic. That's something that's going on right now.
It makes sense. We've got toll roads in Southern California that capitalists just bought a stretch to go around an area of high traffic. So they go in the same direction of the public roads, but you pay, a buck more and you're, there quicker. Dennis, what are the biggest blocks for achieving the society you envision? And what are the solutions?
Okay. The biggest blocks is fear from the government, fear from being pushed down, set aside, thrown in jail, taxed to the living daylights, everything. Everybody is afraid. I've talked to people that, owe back taxes. And I say, why? Do you work for the federal government? And they said, no. And I says, then why are you paying the taxes? Okay. And it's all a scam. The IRS website even has the video of the guy saying, yeah, taxes are voluntary, but they don't let anybody know it. All right. Because they want to have that money. They want to be the top dogs, control everything. All right. And the way to stop that is join the assemblies, the state assemblies, your county assemblies, because we are the lawful government. And it doesn't come from one person. It doesn't come from a peer of 5 people. It comes from the body of the assembly. all members of the assembly. Everyone needs to join so they have a voice. There's no, I'm going to vote for this senator, this congressman, and they talk to you and give you a good smooth line right up front to get, your vote. And then they turn around, they stab you in the back, and they do the exact opposite. So that's what we have to get away from. That's why you join the assemblies. You have a vote. Everybody has a vote. Everybody has their rights. Everybody continues on, and everybody lives peaceably, working together.
Brilliant. Michelle, what, in your opinion, the biggest blocks of moving forward towards freedom, and what are the solutions to those blocks?
Okay, so from my estimation, I think the biggest block is that people have there's a fundamental flaw going on. They think that they can continue to do exactly what they've been doing for the last 160 years, but that suddenly, remarkably, their knight in shining armor is going to show up and it's going to fix everything, right? If we just recall this governor, if we just get the right president in for 4 years, if we just, and the fact of the matter is, we've been doing this for 160 years. And the very definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and to expect a different result, right? And we all know this. But why do we keep doing it? Why are we playing a political game? Why are we doing the left-right paradigm? It's like a predictable pendulum that just swings back and forth, back and forth. To me, that's the biggest challenge. And I talk to well-meaning, educated, bright, morally upright people who just can't see what I'm talking about when I say you've got to get yourself out of that system. It's not going to work. So that's our biggest challenge, is there's a false belief that doing the same thing over and over again is somehow going to miraculously turn out. So it's like the waiting for the savior day, right? Now, I do believe that there is a savior. However, I don't believe he comes in the form of a man in a political system. And then what was the second part of your question, Dr. B? Sorry.
What are the solutions around those blocks? Because you're right, doing the same thing over and over. I mean, if you would think that voting would work, but then at midnight, a bunch of mail-in ballots come in and change the recall. Wait, I mean an election result.
Yeah, the whole thing is a scam, right? Because man is corruptible. And I don't mean men, I mean man, like mankind. We're corruptible, right? So unfortunately, we're sinful in nature and we don't always make the right choice. However, I will tell you this. I'm a huge fan of, I'm a huge fan of preaching common law, because then it's up to me. It's not up to a majority. It's not up to a majority. Like, that's the best part. If I know my rights, then I can exercise them every moment that they're being threatened. Every single moment that they're being threatened. And so it puts matters into my own hands. And I am not, on bended knee going, please give me my rights. No, it doesn't work like that, because I know who I am. And not only do I know who I am, but I've declared who I am for the public square. It's documented. It's out there. So there's a line of demarcation. There's who I was before I was a free woman, and then there's who I am now as a free woman. And I get to live by example, and I get to show other people how it's done. And then we are creating a paradigm that is so much more effective and beautiful than the one that we've had in the past. And I think that by virtue of us creating this paradigm, or realizing it, I should say, and taking action on it, because we're not reinventing the wheel here. Like, we are restoring a de jure republic. So by virtue of us leading by example, people are naturally going to go, wow, I want what she's having. How do I get that? And so that's how it's going to happen. They're just going to have to see it with their own eyes, because seeing is believing.
Wow. Diane, okay, God, there's such a harmony in everyone's thought here too. I mean, you're talking that to get used to living without a government, to having local governance and local authority on your local processes, and to lose the fear. Diane, what's the biggest blocks for people to move forward to freedom, and what are the solutions?
It is always fear, false evidence appearing real. And we have been brainwashed from the time we were born and before, and the brainwashing is repeating over and over. They say it takes 30 days of constantly repeating something for it to become the new normal, which is why beyond the 30 days of just wear your mask and just, like Michelle said, just do what you're told. Just be a good girl. Just don't rock the boat. Just don't be complicated. Just you'll get in trouble, or just talk to your doctor. All of these things are people living in fear of their own power. The biggest psyop is believing that you're free in the matrix that we're living in right now. The medical mafia matrix, the political mafia matrix. You're free only under God, but not under this fake Republican rule. So the belief that you need to ask for permission to do anything is the biggest block that we're in, is believing that there are bigger people than you, making them tall, that you are then small, to boost their ego, to not rock the boat, be Noah, build the boat, create the new world. You need to rock the boat. As we're going to be interviewing him soon, Robert Kennedy Jr. says, and Kat brought this to my attention, 3 civil acts of disobedience every day is what it's going to take to chip away at this matrix that we have authorized brick by brick. Every time, this is what's necessary to break it. Every time we wear a mask, every time we do what they tell us to social distance, every time we get the jab to keep the prison bar of money in our life, we are giving a brick to the powers that be to continue to build the matrix. Every time you do a PCR test, every time you go to your doctor begging for someone to save you, you're giving them another brick to build this huge wall that it's going to take time for us to blow down, but we can. So it's so important to realize that you don't have to do anything, and there's nothing to fear. I went to fly to Sacramento for a wedding last weekend. Me and my partner were the only ones, minus a few stragglers that walked past a couple times here and there, that were not wearing a mask in the Phoenix airport and the Sacramento airport. And guess what? I had 10 cops walk straight past us, waved at them, said hi, showed them my teeth.
Excellent.
They can't do anything because none of this is law. If it was, I would have been tackled to the ground. I would have had beautiful bracelets and taken to jail because I was so infected. But this is the biggest prison bar, is thinking that you're free in this matrix and that all you have to do is but that's not it. So we have to build a new world ourselves and get back to the world that we came from, which is by God, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, wait, I'm at the clinic in Mexico. Okay, You were here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had a doctor's meeting, and I, in our section of the clinic, we don't wear masks. And I said, do you guys like wearing masks? And, they said, no. I said, well, you guys are all doctors and nurses, and with knowledge comes responsibility. Do you want to change the world? And they all said, yeah. I said, okay, good. Take the mask off. Don't put it on. And when somebody asks you to put it on, say you don't have the authority over me to do that. It restricts my breathing. And we changed the world now. And out of the 9 people that were at the meeting, I saw one of them wearing a mask. The most of them weren't, walking down the sidewalk. So
that's huge, because what they're saying is if you don't wear a mask, we can get shut down from the powers that be. So that you just asked them to do that and that they listened. Thank you, Dr. B.
We got to do it.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you're all leaders, of the freedom movement, and you're all, because what a lot of people, it's kind of overwhelming to make changes, and the fear, honest to God, fear is the biggest thing. So, as leaders in the freedom movement, what are you seeing right now? And Howard, let's start with you. What are the developments that you're seeing in your neck of the woods? With that the average person doesn't see, because it's not on social media, it's not anywhere else. What do you see, Howard? What do you see that's changing?
I'm seeing events double in size. I'm seeing new freedom events come into fruition around the country. I'm seeing people resisting the government at every level. If it's not people specializing in lockdown, some people specializing in lawfare, some people specializing in distributing literature and flyers and things like that. Some people make videos, some people do podcasts, some people do whatever it is, but I see a revolution that is rising. And I see this revolution only going in one direction, because once you realize that there's a man behind the curtain in the media, or you realize that government is illegitimate and it can never be, you can never have a legitimate government. And once you get that idea out of your mind, then you start figuring out how are you going to solve these societal problems where, you know, you're not looking to Santa Claus, you're not looking to this mythical creature called government that makes the sun rise and sunset, and you know, you now are really problem solving, because you're doing it from the ground level. You're doing it with the finest view of the problem. You're spending your own money. You're working, co-creating with your neighbors. You're getting real-time feedback, and you know, that's happening all over the country. And as far as I can tell from the media, the international media, it's happening all over the world. So there's a resistance movement globally, and it's only getting bigger, and it's only going in one direction.
God bless you. And honest to God, your Thick Red Line project, okay, when I first heard of that and looked into it, it is that is just a whole different way to look at the whole legal aspect.
And we're supporting, by the way, so now, you know, now the first responders themselves are being pushed to take these vaccines. And so we would give the sheriffs and the police and the fire department and everybody the exact same advice that we gave the sheriff's deputies and the police, which is to say no collectively. Your strongest bargaining chip is a collective refusal to either take the jab or to enforce victimless crimes. If you say no to the jab and you do it collectively supported by the community, or if you say no to you know, using violence on peaceful people to, you know, engineer society or raise revenue on your friends and neighbors, there's nothing they can make you do if you say no collectively supported by the community. And so Thick Red Line Project is supporting the sheriffs and the police to say no to the politicians on the jabs, the same way we're suggesting that they say no collectively on the victimless crimes.
Brilliant. Dennis, as a sheriff, and buddy, you're the one that told me that sheriffs have the ultimate power. They can kick out the FBI, the CIA, they can kick out anybody on a county level, and that is the friggin' brilliance. Okay, right. That gives, so that way we take it back. Like, it's like eating an elephant. You can, but you got to slice it thin. How do we take over our country? We slice it thin, county by county. It's going to be ours. So as a leader, what developments, what inspiring developments are you seeing in your neck of the woods?
I'm seeing a lot of people starting to join the assemblies, and a lot of people asking questions. And like Howard was saying, that there are a lot of not demonstrations, but, you know, groups getting together to say no more. Okay, and that's what we have to say. No more. Enough is enough. Okay, it's time for the people to wake up. All right. Hold on. I have something to show you.
I like that.
Okay, if you couldn't see it, it says we have awakened, and we are everywhere. Okay, so, and there's more and more of that going on everywhere. And people have had enough. The grocery stores used to have, you know, here in Sedona anyway, they're, you know, always had their masks on. They'd give you dirty looks. And now it's like you walk in there, nobody has masks on, maybe one here, maybe one there. And you still see people driving with their masks on. And, you know, that's their prerogative, but they've all had too much Kool-Aid. All right. So, and we know where that came from, and it comes from the mainstream media and the politicians and the mainstream media that's owned by the establishment. And everybody has had enough, and we just keep going on and not really rebelling, but standing up and just saying enough is enough, because we all know it's a farce, and the only people that are dying in the swamped hospitals are the people that have been vaccinated, and they're trying to say it's unvaccinated people, and it's not. Okay, if they only told the truth for once in their life, but what the heck, we've all been living the lies for 160 years. What's another one? Okay, people are fed up with all of the nonsense, and it's over. So move on and let's go.
Brilliant. Michelle, you are leader in the freedom movement. I mean, the stuff that you've done just on vaccines and awareness, public awareness. What developments are you seeing that are inspiring you? Because a lot of people, honest to God, I mean, I see people all the time, and they look in our office with a mask, and they look around and I can take it off, and they've got this fear and like hope and joy. What are you seeing? What are positive developments?
This is so great. So I hope you know, our assembly is growing by leaps and bounds, and I really mean it. It's like a fire hose. I'm only one woman, and I can't help all the people that need my help. And so we have over 300 and some odd in the pipeline, paid and ready to be seen by a public notary. And so we're just like, we need more recorders, and thank you for your event last week, by the way, Dr. B. I was there and got to meet a number of new Americans that I'll be actually meeting with next week to finish their stuff. So what I'm seeing is a lot of activity, people that are ready to really jump on this train. And I want to share an anecdotal story that happened. I don't know if you know this, but I live in Culver City. And Culver City was ground zero for the public school mandate that they just came out with regarding the mandatory COVID vaccines. And this happened, 2-3 weeks ago. So I started to organize local parents who are kind of stuck in that. They're still stuck in the old paradigm. And they're stuck in the old paradigm, and they're looking for answers. They got blindsided. They had no idea that this was coming, right? So I was on a Zoom. I think you'll appreciate this because it really speaks to Dennis's t-shirt. I had these new parents on this Zoom who had never before ever questioned government whatsoever. We're talking about super green, like super wet behind the ears. Okay. And I said, there's a war on for the minds of our children. I said, there's an agenda, people, right? And this lady, like 5 minutes later, she's like, excuse me. I go, yeah, you have a question? She said, I'm on the school website and I can't find anything about the agenda over the minds of our children. So I want you to know that's how new, okay? Fast forward, this woman is out with a sign like, hurrah, So they really have awakened the sleeping bear, the sleeping giant. So that's what I'm seeing. People are waking up like this, and it's going fast. So
excellent. I would love to do those. I want to get together with you. Do those events at least once a month, and we'll get it. It's just going to snowball. If we could do it on a Wednesday, I'll be there. Okay. But it's just, whatever we can do. But thank you. We're going to convert the world.
Perfect. I'll be there.
God bless you. Diane, you absolutely, you're leader in the freedom movement. Okay. What are you seeing now? What are you seeing that's inspiring you?
Mm-hmm. Like we were saying before, it's being able to face the possibility that we have been possibly lied to about everything our entire lives. That takes a tremendous amount of awareness and courage to look oneself in the mirror and say, I believed these parasites. I trusted them. And I got hurt by them, and not take that and shame ourselves and stop there and stop believing in our ability to shift that. I work with a lot of women, you know, my book Killer Breasts, and I work with a lot of women who are living in that shame and that guilt that they can't trust themselves anymore because everything that they've done prior to has landed them in pain or hurt or illness in some way. You know, we have been consuming these products and these poisons our entire lives, from food that we feed our skin, food that we feed our bodies, food that we feed our babies. And it's so wild to me that people are so afraid of germs, like these virus particles, but will gladly consume carcinogens or pesticides, chemicals, toxins, poisons in their foods, their drinks. And every single day they're doing this without batting an eye. So when they are able to pull themselves out of that prison bar and look and see that we've all been in it together, they start to finally go, okay, that's step one. And then once they're there, like Michelle said, oh, wait, there's an agenda? Whoa, I've been okay, now I'm with you. So that's what I'm loving seeing, is that people can look at themselves in the eye and say, it's okay. I believe these parasites who have been sucking the life out of me my whole life, but it's been necessary for my awakening. And I'm so happy that I went through that to see how not to continue to suffer so that I can learn how to be sovereign. And once they're awake, you wake that sleeping giant. I'm seeing lions and lionesses coming together, and they're just saying no. They're just saying no to all of these things that poison us. And then they're just saying yes to taking care of their temples, taking care of each other. We're coming together like, gosh, it seems like every night here in Phoenix and Sedona, we have common law attorneys who are speaking how to know our rights. We have people coming together, learning how to barter, learning how to plant seeds and grow food. They're happening in Sedona, and people really are fed up. But in order to fight back, you have to also be healthy, which is why I'm so happy that you're doing the work that you're doing, Dr. B, to turn our lights back on with our central nervous system of the body. And then I'm helping people detox, because when you can detox from like what did you say? You said stop drinking the Kool-Aid, Dennis, and you said stop consuming the mainstream media. Well, that's our mental, emotional poison. But then there's the chemical poisons in the Kool-Aid, like the fluoride, the mercury, the lead, the glyphosate, which is all over GMOs. If you're not eating organic, you're consuming a lot of crap. And poisons could also be numbing devices like drugs, which are filled with petroleum, and also the things that we're doing that our doctors are giving us or injecting us, which further numb us out, or even alcohol. So people are doing less of those things so they can wake up even more. And when we're healthy physically, emotionally, and chemically, we can fight back stronger with more clarity, dream bigger, and unite. And so that's what I'm loving seeing, that they're realizing that the poison originators are also the same people that have been pushing these vaccines and pushing these fake immune boosters that really are causing our immune systems to become obsolete, and going, wait, all of this is wrong. I'm going to turn my back on all of this and find out how we did it before, go back to that, and learn one step at a time without anxiety.
Wow. I'm just shocked that not one person on this panel has said you got to be a Democrat or Republican. Not one person said we vote right and then our government will give us back our freedoms. Not one person said all you need to do is get the 2 shots. Well, now it's the 2 shots and the booster. Well, actually not now. Now it's 2 shots and 2 boosters, and then we get the vaccine passport, and then we go back to the new normal. No one's talking about that. You mean you're not, nobody here is waiting for the government to give you your rights back, because that means they weren't rights, they were privileges. Okay, now I got to tell you, this is the finest group ever, okay, and health leaders and freedom leaders. And I got to tell you, you guys are on now, but how many people are you inspiring? We're talking thousands. So please, if you've watched this series, if you watch part of this series, look at the description below. You're going to have Howard's contact, Dennis's contact, Michelle's contact, Diane's contact. I mean, you're going to get everybody, connect up with anyone that you identify with. But this requires action. You are not going to get given back your freedoms. Okay, freedoms, they were given to you by God. We can only get it back by taking it. Okay, and we cannot go back to the old society and expect that to change, because that is a corrupt, power-crazed illogical society. I mean, we've got politicians that have been in there for 50, 60 years, and we see how brilliant they are. So,
Hey, Dr. B,
yes, sir.
I walked into a Home Depot about 2-3 weeks ago, and people had masks on and stuff. I didn't have a mask, and I just walked in there, and some lady about 3 checkout counters down goes, "You're Dennis." And I looked at her, and I have no clue who this person is. And she says, "I saw you on Dr. B's videos. Oh, those are awesome." And I said, "That's right. Dr. B's the man." Just to give you that.
God bless you all. Okay, we got to cut this, otherwise we'd be talking for like 5-6 hours. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Diane. I mean, God bless you. We have got to get together. Everybody's welcome to get your butts out to California, and we'll go. Hey, man, if you make it up to San Pedro, we'll go into sailing for a bit. Okay.
Sounds good by me.
Very much. Look at the series, take action. But please, if any of this stuff sounded confusing, like we talk about the Thick Red Line Project, living in changing the government back to what it was, 160 years of lies. Okay, if none of this stuff makes sense, look at the descriptions below. Contact Howard or Dennis or Michelle or Diane. Okay, contact these people. Do the research. Realize that your freedoms are within you. Okay, these were given to you by God, and they've been taken away by a corrupt system. And the only way we get it back is by taking it back. Okay, God bless you all, and let's keep making a difference.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. B. Thanks, everyone.
If you can hear my voice, you are part of the resistance.
Thanks so much for being with us this entire episode and this entire series. Like I said earlier, if you have not seen the entire series, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to the 12 other episodes from many, many people who have different perspectives on how much our freedoms are absolutely under attack, what that looks like, how we're not seeing it in the media because they are choosing what information that we see and what we don't see. What we see as leaders in the freedom movement is a lot of corruption behind closed doors. And I think the majority of Americans who are out there know that this is happening as well. So I wanted to leave you with a couple more calls to action that you guys can do now in order to free yourself from this open air prison that we've been living in since birth. You can begin your journey by becoming an American national and getting papered and following the links that we've been talking about in every one of these episodes. That's step one. And learning more about the history of how we got here, as well as most importantly, the history as with your birth certificate, what happens at birth, what is a straw man, and how many trades, how many bonds are being traded, how often is your social security number being traded among all around the world. I'm being traded in thousands of areas all around the world that we talked about in one of the episodes. So it's very important for you to see that so that you can realize how much of a slave system that we're living in. And then the next step is to also, there's a few things that I'm doing in my community. And one of them is a survivalism series. Being that right now we have supply chains that are completely broken, we have supply and demand deficits, we have a lot more demand than we have supply for things, we have ridiculous inflammation and more on the horizon. We have a lot of people unemployed, we have people who are not able to afford food, we have food shortages, water shortages, as well as many farmers who are being asked to destroy crops. And so right now we have, in the very near future, a pretty significant issue in our hands with what is going to put us into a crisis. And so it's very important to learn survivalism skills and being prepared for what is to come. Dr. B has been talking about this in many of his episodes and his own channel. So you can go back to his VIP group, which is drbvip.com, and listen to several of these episodes that he has. I also have a site, dianekazer.com/VIP, where I'm helping you to do these things one-on-one. And I have a lot of live webinars where I'm helping you with implementation and customization. Specifically around the things that we talk about in these episodes, survivalism is a very important topic right now, and many people are getting censored because of it. So I'd love to invite you to a 6-part series that I'm doing now called the Survivalism Series. It's happening every Thursday for the next 6 weeks up until October 21st. And you can get to that by going to dianekazer.com/webinars, and you can sign up for them. They're all free. And then at the end of that, October 31st, we're having a retreat in Sedona that begins October 21st and goes until the 24th, where we're going to go out in the land in beautiful, sacred, spiritual Sedona with the red rocks. If you've never been to Arizona and this beautiful area of Arizona, I highly, highly recommend it. This is where I live. And we're going to be with a survivalism expert, a 20-year veteran, and someone who teaches people survivalism tactics, first aid, medic training, how to come together as a team, how to communicate, how to survive and thrive through any kind of crisis. And what we're seeing right now is many crazy weather patterns happening all around the world. We've got hurricanes, we've got tornadoes and massive storms and shutdowns and grids going down. We have 7.4 earthquakes happening, and we never know when it's going to happen in your city. Please do not think it's not going to happen to me, like we talked about in this episode. So please feel free to join us. DianeKazer.com/retreats will be your invitation, and we can only take 30 people. By the time, if you're watching this later, we're still going to be continuing to have this conversation in my group, DianeKazer.com/VIP. Now, we also talked about several of these series. Dr. B has offered you guys a call to action that I'm offering for you, which is a book. It's my top 10 toxins book, because it's really important for you to be as strong and healthy and powerful and nimble, resilient as possible. Clear in the mind is to detox your body on a regular basis. So you can get my free ebook through Dr. B, which is, you can go to DianeKazer.com/top 10 toxins Dr. B. And if you want to get my book, you can go to DianeKazer.com/KBB Dr. B. The last half of this book talks all about how to become your own best doctor, so that you don't have to rely on Western medicine, which, as we all know now, is the mainstream medical mafia. And a lot of people are losing their lives to needing to go in for mandates that are not necessarily laws. So we want you to have total freedom, whether that's your health, your wealth, or your children's ability to speak their voice and to spark your purpose. So thanks again for being here. I'm Diane Kazer, and I'll hopefully see you in my group, another webinar, or maybe live in person for our important retreat or the survivalism series, which again is DianeKazer.com/webinars, and you can sign up for as many as you'd like. I'll see you in one of those places. And again, thank you so much for allowing us to guide you through this Slavery to Sovereignty series. May you find the freedom and the power and the courage that already exists within you. Namaste.